Good evening, everyone. It's Des. I'm back to talk about some more knots, and we finished on bends. We've sort of looked at a couple of knots that can be used to tie together pieces of rope, so the bends, and we're going to move on now to hitches. And hopefully you remember from some of our introductory talks that a hitch is a type of knot that's used to fix a rope to things, to something like a post like this, a fixing like this, or perhaps a ring like this. So the next series of knots we're going to touch on are going to be hitches. This is particularly relevant, I suppose, for the Denton Island dock, because the fixing points there are mostly a bar like this that you've got to put some sort of rope through and tie onto to fix the actual boat and the dock, our tetra dock, our floating dock, our pontoon dock too. So hopefully this will be useful for that. So the first knot we're going to talk about is called a round turn and 2 half hitches. Really useful knot for fastening a rope to a post, and very strong and quite reliable, very unlikely to work loose under any sort of jerking or jolting. And lots of useful little things about this knot that we'll go through as we teach you how to tie it. The first really useful thing about it is its name tells you how to tie it. It is a round turn, so we go through our bar and we go round, and you see there that's not a full round turn, that's only half a turn. We're only halfway around the rope, around the post. So we're going to do a full round turn, go all the way around the post, so you can see that the rope came all the way around. The first thing about this then is, if this is the end going to the boat, you have control. The rope is all the way around, giving you some friction on the post. So if the boat's pulling, you can put tension on that and release or let it in or out as you need to, like so. Really handy then as the boat comes in and you just need to sort of get it tight to the dock and hold it there, but don't necessarily want to keep the rope in that position with that amount of tension and want to take it in a little bit or let it out before you're in the final docking position. So that's the round turn. The next part of the knot was the 2 half hitches. So a half hitch is wrapping the rope around the standing part of the rope, going through this little hole you've made here. That's 1 half hitch, and then we do it again. We go round again and come back through this part of the rope that we've got here, and we tighten that up nicely. And what you end up then with is the main part of the knot here on the actual post itself, giving you the friction and hold onto that post, and then these 2 half hitches around the actual standing part of the rope connecting to the boat or whatever we're fixing, which give you the tension that closes off that knot itself. Really useful, and one of the best things about it is, and some of the other knots have demonstrated how, with regular sort of jerking and pulling and back and forward tension on the knot, as you would normally get from something like wave action or people getting in and out of the boat, you would see that little on and off tension in the knot. That can loosen some knots. This knot here, not a chance, it's going nowhere. The way you've got the friction here on the standing part and the friction on the main knot means it's nigh on impossible for that jerking type friction to loosen this knot over time. The other benefit is if you've got an excess of rope left at the tail end, you can just keep tying off half hitches to get rid of that tail, to keep it neat and tidy, and also to allow you to add more friction to the actual knot, to the holding, and therefore more strength and rigidity in that knot. Really simple and easy to tie. Really easy to undo. No matter how much tension there is on that knot, there's no problem whatsoever in undoing it afterwards. It doesn't jam in any way whatsoever. And also when you do undo it, so for example, let's say we were unmooring the boat, we'd moored the boat to the dock, and we're going to unmoor it. The person standing on the dock ready to unmoor can keep control. They've undone the majority of the knot like I've done here by taking off the 2 half hitches, but they've still got control because of the friction here in the post that the round turn gives. So you can slowly let the boat out until then you want to let fly, throw the rope back into the boat, get yourself in the boat and get away. Equally as easy to do on a ring. So we've had a post here, we've got a ring here. We come round, there's our 1 half turn. So I'm going to do a full round turn. So you can see we're all the way around, and then 2 half hitches. 1 half hitch, keep going round, and the other half hitch. And you can see there with a nice, fantastic knot. Going nowhere, holding on to that ring, able to fix your boat in place. And we're talking about tying up here to a dock. So it's probably useful to talk about a little bit of something else when you're tying to the dock. And hopefully as you go down onto the Denton Island dock, you'll notice this. When you tie up, when you've got your boat there and attached, a lot of the time we've got quite a bit of excess of rope, because we never like to have a short anchor rope in the boat. So we end up with quite a lot of rope. So we tie off, and then we end up with a big tail of rope. We've got to figure out what to do with that. Really, really bad practice to just leave that lying or sitting around. Really, really bad form. You should never do that, because these docks are working docks, they're working pontoons. People are regularly going backwards and forwards, not all the time with a life jacket on. So anything on the dock which causes an obstruction is really a no-no. So anything you can do to tuck away that excess tail is really beneficial. It looks neat and tidy. It's really important that you know that it is neat and tidy and it's out of the way. You may see a lot of the time the rope gets sort of tailed off into a nice little sort of decorative curl. And I'll take the end of that rope and I will just put a nice little curl on it like that, and I'll leave it sitting there beside, or sometimes lying on top of, the actual fixing post itself. Not going to really go anywhere, it's not going to get blown away. It's flat, so people are less likely to trip in it. They can still stand on it and do less damage, or put, sort of jam the rope together. And it looks quite professional. Little things like that, when people see it beside a boat, they realise that the person that's managing and owning that boat and tying it up knows their stuff. They understand the importance of, you know, a clean working environment on a dockside or on a pontoon itself. So always consider that whenever you're finished, and if you've got a big long tail of rope, just sit there, spend a few minutes. It's worth the effort to curl it like that and leave it beside the fixing. Or as I've shown you on this round turn and 2 half hitches, just keep tying those hitches or some stopper knots onto the length of rope, the standing piece of rope towards the boat, which will give you additional strength in the knot, but also keep that tail of rope out of the way. So that was a round turn and 2 half hitches, and a little bit of guidance on, you know, working with our ropes on a pontoon. Thanks very much, guys. Hopefully speak to you later.